Hello out there. My name is Laolu Akonde, and you are on to Inside Sources. But first, here is my take for today entitled, How Nigerians Should Respond to the Defections, the Power of Civic Action. It was Franklin D. Roosevelt who said, and I quote, "Democracy cannot succeed unless those who express their choice are prepared to choose wisely. The real safeguard of democracy, therefore, is education," unquote. Between 1999 and 2015, the PDP ruled from the center, and its grip was so tight then that some in the party boasted that the party will rule Nigeria for another 60 years. In that period of 16 years, defections by politicians, mainly from opposition parties, to the PDP was then fashionable. There were about 4 governors who defected to the PDP, including Ikedi Ohakim of Imo, from PPA to PDP, Mahmuda Shinkafi of Zamfara, ANPP to PDP, Atahiru Bafarawa of Sokoto, from ANPP to PDP, and of course, also Theo Orji from Abia, from PPA to PDP. Those were governors. So now we are seeing the same games with PDP governors defecting to the ruling APC, perhaps at a faster rate. So it's getting worse. It's all the same games of musical chairs. Here today, there tomorrow. Most of our politicians don't have any ideological commitment that tie them down above their personal and pecuniary interests. Sad to say. So it's a wake-up call for those of us in this country who believe that there has to be a better way. We have to organize ourselves. As legitimate agents of change, we have to stop expecting this set of politicians for the main to deliver what they clearly lack. No one can give what they don't have. If they don't have the vision for a big Nigeria, a greater Nigeria, they cannot deliver it. Besides, members of the political elite, for the most part, are satisfied with the state of things, and they have no incentive to cause a change. Why should we depend on them? It was Plato who said, and I quote, "He who refuses to take part in choosing his leaders must be content to be ruled by fools," unquote. More and more of us must get up and see to it that we register and we vote. We must bring in to the voters' register a new critical mass of patriotic, informed, educated, and enlightened Nigerians who understand that leadership is too important to be left alone like that. Professionals, students, entrepreneurs, and those who know the value of good governance must see political participation as an imperative. This is how nations rise, when citizens move from mere commentary to solid commitment. We can do that by invading the voters' register lawfully and legitimately. And I call it an invasion because we no longer have the luxury of complaining about why we can't vote and some of the inconveniences involved. We got to rise above that. It was Barack Obama who said, and I quote, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek," unquote. Nigeria's voters' turnout remains one of the lowest even in Africa. Why just we had 26% of the registered voters participated in the last elections in 2023. Countries like Ghana recorded about 68% of their population. Kenya, around 65% of their population. And even South Africa, with all its voter fatigue, managed about 47%. The hard truth is that our major challenge is not just corruption and corrupt politicians. Those are everywhere. Our most important challenge is that as a people, we have abdicated our civic obligations to participate, and we have become spectators and armchair critics. Let us continue to speak, but let us also act. Let us register to vote, and let us mobilize other people to vote. Let us turn our frustrations into focus. Let us turn our passion into participation. Because Nigeria will only become what its citizens are willing to build. We have reached a defining moment in Nigeria. We have talked, we have grown, we have complained, we have blamed for decades, yet the walls of dysfunction are still standing. And here's the truth. No nation ever rose from despair through noise. Nigeria will not change because we complain louder. It will change because we decided to act with wisdom. The destiny of this nation is not in the hands of those politicians who are defecting from one place to the other. It is in the hands of those who empower them. The ballot box remains the greatest symbol of people's authority. The power to change Nigeria is in your vote. Stop complaining. Start mobilizing. Because if we refuse to choose our leaders, we have already chosen a particular kind of future. And seeing all the shenanigans of our politicians renewed by the defections that we have seen this week, we all know that leaving our future in their hands alone is a joke, a bad joke. And there you have it. Inside Sources will be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today, I want to open the show with a quick conversation with the president of the Congress of University Academics, CONUA, Dr. Niyi Sumonu, an associate professor of atmospheric physics from the Obafemi Awolowo University. Dr. Sumonu, welcome back to Inside Sources.
Thank you very much. It's indeed and always a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you for what you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I wanted to get an understanding of how CONUA is reading the current dispute between federal government and ASU. So the minister said that federal government has addressed all the requests of ASU, and that even the things that have not been delivered, that they have a conversation, and that basically ASU walked away, from the talks. That it said himself and the chairman of the committee, the acting chairman, Senator Larry Tejuosho, we are communicating with ASU, over the last weekend before the strike, and that ASU promised to get back to them, but what they had was ASU going on strike. So why do you think there shouldn't be a strike? Because CONUA has said publicly that it's not part of the strike. So why do you think we have a strike, and why shouldn't we have a strike?
Thank you very much once again, and the listeners. First and foremost, I want to also confirm or affirm all you said, that I had it also from the press. But it's between the federal government and the other union, and we cannot claim to know the inner workings of the back and forth engagement. Where we feel there shouldn't be, or I should reframe it this way, that why we are not on strike is, one, to the effect that it is not to say that we don't have issues that we want to take up with the government. Most of the issues the other union put on the table, and most, I'm saying that, not all the issues,
right,
we share in most of the issues. But that said, our heads cannot be shaven behind us. The avenue, the platform to have a conversation, direct engagement with the government has not been provided for us. And for us, the method is much important now, because if you don't have a platform for engagement, on what ground are you declaring a dispute? If you have a discussion and you have a disagreement in the discussion, then you can declare a dispute.
Right.
But fortunately, the last time I was here, I did say that there was a meeting that was called by the Honorable Minister of Education, and that meeting has since held. And we went to that meeting with two major things, two major requests. The first request is physically bringing CONUA to the table, where the issues we have with the government are going to be tabled and discussions are going to ensue from it, and agreement and all disagreements, we're going to have that. Second thing, and that was granted. So we saw that the Honourable Minister of Education had actually walked his talk by expanding the committee and by promising that that committee will extend invitation to us. And from the issues going on behind the scene, we are hopeful that that will actually come to fruition. The second point that we put before, Honourable Minister, is the inclusion of CONWA in all union-related matters of the Federal Ministry of Education and its agencies like TET Fund, agencies under Federal Ministry of Education. You have what you call Needs Assessment Committee. These issues are bearing directly with academics in the university, to which CONWA is a voice, and that was also granted. So until and unless we have platform to put across our issues, we can declare any industrial action, if at all there's going to be any industrial action. And it will be standing logic on its head by just latching onto an action, legitimate one anyway, declared by a sister union for which you know next to nothing about.
Well, so you are saying that members of CONWA are not participating in this warning strike?
In clear terms, CONWA is not on strike. We cannot be railroaded, blackmailed into joining an industrial action, again, legitimate, that we know next to nothing about.
And for context, you know, for the benefit of our viewers, CONWA has about 33 members, 33 chapters.
30 chapters. 30 chapters.
And I think ASU has about 60 chapters.
I wouldn't know exactly how much they have.
That was what the president of the...
I wouldn't know how much exactly they have, but we have 30 chapters.
Right. You know, so it's about, and of course, CONWA is very new.
It's just about 3 years old, and 3 years old thereabout, and it's an evolution. Any long-lasting thing will evolve. Like this.
Right.
So we have not departed from the right course to which we can make progress. Okay. We haven't.
All right. So CONWA is not participating in the strike, which means, you know, just about half of Nigerian universities professors, academics are not, you know, which is a significant number by every means. You have the promise or the plan now that CONWA is going to join the talks when they resume.
That's what we are told. And from what is happening behind the scene, we are hopeful that will come to fruition.
So from what you know, the other union and yourself will be meeting the negotiation team of the federal government. That's
the information available to us in the media space, in the public space.
But you don't know when that is going to happen.
Exactly. For now, we don't know when it's going to happen. So maybe I use this medium to call on the Ministry of Education under the able leadership of the Honourable Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, to expedite action on this so that all these issues, we can't. I was discussing with a friend this morning. We are left behind as a nation. We have spent almost more than 40 years scratching the surface. And what do I mean by scratching the surface? The issue of remuneration, condition of service, and what have you, it's like scratching the surface. What the Western world, what the advanced world are doing, we are really way behind. There's a huge gap between town and gown. In fact, there is a disconnect between town and gown. Academics have a role to play in the town. If anybody in any area, any research area has issues, the first point of call should be with the academics. We don't have that kind of culture here. That's one of the reasons I said we have been left behind.
Interesting.
We are trained. If there's any issue, no matter how small the issue is, we had my PhD training. They come to the academics.
That's in Japan.
Yes, they come to the academics. One instance is this waste, as simple as waste sorting and disposal. I asked my teacher, why is the waste sorting in town different from waste sorting in the university? And instead, the one they are using in town, the university incubated it and gave it to them. So they are trying another one. Extend that.
Improve it.
Extend that to other facets of our lives. So we have used over 45 years scratching the surface.
65, yeah.
over 45 years scratching the surface, because this issue of industrial dispute, remuneration, and what have you, is the surface.
Okay, all right, and we have talked about that quite a bit. Because of our time, I wanted to ask you one last question. So what is the position of CONUA regarding the use of strike as a weapon in negotiation?
Generally speaking, first, I would say is a legitimate union tool. But when you use a tool or a weapon, if I'm permitted to use that word, no matter how potent it is, if overuse it, it becomes less effective, if not ineffective in totality. So what we really have aversion for, having evaluated this method over more than 40 years, is that it's done more damage than good. A number of people who are professors now who had stint outside the country with their possibly one study or the other will have to explain the gap in their transcripts. And that is being transferred to our children now. Come on, we should think of others. More so, we're in a democratic setting. I think the use of that weapon was really very effective and good, potent under the military. But here, our people are the ones on the other hand. We can speak to them. They can speak to us. And government will also need to do well to match action with words so that we can build trust. There's a huge trust deficit.
Generally in our country. And I think this is part of the reason why you guys decided to form CONUA, because you believe that there is a better way to handle this matter.
Actually, something different from that led to the formation of CONUA. Expulsion from ASU led to the formation of CONUA. Then, having been expelled, it then opened our eyes to start evaluating what we've been doing. And we then realized it's good to have different perspective.
Interesting.
So that's why we made it our cardinal philosophy. To do more JoJo than war.
Excellent.
Especially in the democratic dispensation
that we are in. Thank you so much, Associate Professor Niyish Sumonu. Thank you for your resolve and determination and your liberal spirit. Because I also think that ASU and generally in our country, we have to be careful the way we use strike. I've been covering ASU since 1990, with Professor Jega, as president, Dr. Lukunle as vice president. I even became a comrade of ASU. And the damage that we have suffered generally as a people, whether government or outside government, from strike is almost, I don't know how we can even retrieve it. Yeah, we must find other options to resolve, and there are several other options, especially like you said, in a democratic setting. Thank you so much for coming to Inside Sources, and thank you for your work, contribution to academic freedom and the revitalization of that system.
It's indeed a pleasure. Always a pleasure having conversation with you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Inside Sources will be right back with our conversation for the day. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today, as we continue our discussion and conversation on the fate and future of our country, I have with me a leading Nigerian cleric and the immediate past president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, His Eminence, Reverend Shupo Ayokunle. Reverend, welcome back to Inside Sources.
Thank you very much, and thank you for what you are doing for the nation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Let's start the conversation today. Let's hear what is your own take about what is going on in the United States, where a number of notable people, senators, members of Congress, even journalists and talk show hosts, and quite a lot of the religious leaders in that country, they are saying that, look, what is going on in Nigeria is Christian genocide. Now, I want to remind you that we have the governor of Plateau State himself conceding, a couple weeks ago or a couple months back, that indeed in his own state there is genocide. The third chief in Benue State also said there is genocide, but they didn't call it Christian genocide. So as a Christian leader yourself, Your Eminence, how do you, what's your take on these dimensions?
It is not now that we have been crying about the atrocities of the Islamic sects that had been violent and have been targeting Christians for a long period of time. You know that when I was at the end of affairs, I cried out because it is so painful when you are losing your members in week after week, and you are losing your churches, which it has caused our forefathers a lot to build over many years to an unreasonable Islamic sect that wanted to wipe away Christians from the north and possibly Christians from Nigeria. And I'm not saying they just without data. I'm saying this with data. Let me quote from the 2013 report of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, 2013. It goes like this. Boko Haram is an Islamic sect that sees the federal and northern state government as well as political and religious elites are morally corrupt. Boko Haram rejects the West and the secular state and seeks the universal implementation of pure Sharia law. Pure Sharia law is to say that Christians are not existent in those places. Pure Sharia law to resolve the ills facing northern Nigerian Muslims. Not only that, Boko Haram targets include churches, individual Christians, persons engaged in un-Islamic activities, those are Christians, Muslim critics, northern elders, schools, police stations, government buildings, newspapers, and banks. Furthermore, they reported Boko Haram has attacked churches on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day 3 years in a row from 2010 to 2012, initiating these attacks in northern cities with a history of sectarian violence in an effort to further destabilize Nigeria. It also has killed individual Christians. In January 2012, called on Christians to leave northern Nigeria. Did you hear that?
I heard this.
Called on Christians to leave northern Nigeria. Boko Haram attacked a Christian area of Kano on July 30, killing 45 and damaging churches. And prior to that day, had burned down several churches after the Nigerian government on May 14 declared a state of emergency in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa State. In addition to its bombings and burnings at and shooting of churches, Boko Haram has attacked beer parlors, poker players, and soccer film centers. My brother, what was the offense of the Christians they were attacking? If they want to establish pure Sharia in the north, why should they be killing Christians? Let them attack, establish their Sharia for their fellow Muslims. Why are they attempting to wipe away the Christians from the north? Is there any country in East Africa where it is only one religion, the religious group in any region? We are intertwined. What was the offense of the Christians that necessitated them wiping away the Christians from the north in order to establish Islamic, Islamic Sharia? If you know that people with that type of silly idea didn't have respect for human beings, especially the Christians, any Islamic practice, they said they were out against it, which means right from the beginning, they declare war against the Christians. When we are talking of genocide, is it because they have not killed many Christians? They also said that if any Muslim opposes the agenda, they will see that also as an enemy. We are not saying that they didn't kill others, but there was genocide on Christians in Nigeria because they killed our members in large numbers. 3 weeks after I visited Mobi, they attacked Mobi and leveled Mobi down. Right. I was an eyewitness. I saw many people they maimed in Benue State. Christians, our brothers and sisters. When we got there, the General Secretary of Crown could not withstand it. He was just weeping. The main people got the hand, cut the hairs, etc., as if they were inanimate objects or that can be cut down anyhow. So if we are saying that there was genocide of Christians, why should anybody be disputing that? Didn't the people say that they will wipe away the Christians from the north? If you are saying now that they kill more Muslims in the north, don't we have more Muslims than the Christians in the north? And besides, didn't they say that if any Muslims will oppose them, they will wipe that person away? Killing of the Christians is was and is still an unintended consequence. The real motive was to establish Islamic Sharia in the north and wipe away the Christians. This is what I'm reading out to you, based on research, right. Based on what they said.
Right. So, Reverend, just to give it a little bit more context. So this was what was happening in the early 2010s, like up to 2013 and thereabout. Do you still think, I don't think there's a lot of dispute about the resolve of Boko Haram as a sect, but do you still think that that is still going on now with that kind of intensity today, about now, recently?
Let me ask you, has Boko Haram changed its agenda? Have they come out with a new goal?
No,
a new objective?
Absolutely, we've not had that. You are right, sir.
So I don't think that question will be necessary when they have not changed their agenda and their intention, and when they have not stopped killing Christians. Okay. Up till now, are they not still killing Christians in Benue? Are they not still killing Christians in Plateau?
Right. Okay.
How many Muslims are in Plateau?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I have made the point also that in Plateau and Benue, most of the population there are Christians. But my point is that, are we going to say that is the same Boko Haram ideology that is at work in Benue and Plateau? Is it the same Boko Haram ideology? Is that what you think, Reverend?
I said, have you heard them change their ideology? Have they come out with a new one that we can lay our hands upon?
No, I know. I'm just saying that. Do we know that it is also Boko Haram? I agree with you that
it is the same Boko Haram that split into ISWAP. From them, the Lakurawa or whatever joined them. And they continue to split and split and split. Okay. Have you not heard the moderator how they were even fighting themselves in order to gain the supremacy in command?
True. That's correct.
The same evil is splitting and splitting and splitting.
Okay.
Is it justice to us when people are now shouting and saying that there was no genocide of Christians in Nigeria with the blood of many that were killed? You can still remember the current chairman for Michigan local government, Lawan Dimi, whose throat was slaughtered. When they were calling on people to come and pay ransom, didn't they call on us Christian leaders to come and pay ransom? Did they call on Muslims? They call on us and they call on government.
Well, I mean, so
I don't know if we cannot face the truth and are just trying to be political because it's damaging the image of the government,
country.
then we are not going to get the solution.
Very, very important point that you've made. So what will be your counsel to the current federal government? You know, clearly they feel provoked, you know, that the Americans are saying this. I agree with you that those things are facts. You know, at times we restrain, you know, from giving it that terminology just so because we don't want to create a division. But the facts are the facts. So what do you think the president and the federal government ought to do in this situation?
For me, the release of the NSCI cannot hold water, because these groups came out of Islam. It didn't come out of Christianity. And what pains me from their release was as if everybody in Nigeria is a kid. He didn't know what had happened in our nation. If the ideology has widened now from the initial one, and many more, we sympathize with many Muslims that were killed as well. But if they say, well, there was genocide of Christians, but we had genocide of Muslims thereafter also, that would have even been more acceptable. But to come out and say that there is no genocide of Christians, I think they have infuriated me more. It doesn't seem, allow me to see them as people that are ready to do justice. All of us are very sad that these people are painting our nation in this way, that the United States of America can classify our country like this. We know that government didn't cause it, but government will not deny what these people caused and what they have done. For government to be denying it makes the government complicit in what has happened. And I don't see that I have confidence in them to do justice. Because if you are denied the reality, you cannot do justice. They have no hiding place. They can't deny the reality. The blood of the people they split, innocent Christians, is crying unto God for vengeance. Saying that it happened is the blatant lie. Right from the beginning. Have they changed their ideology? They have not. Government has been battling them and battling them. There are also been unfaithfulness on the side of some of the security agents that are complicit. But some people feeding far from this matter. But as Bishop Kuka said, the military, the law enforcement agents, they must redeem their image. They must not allow these people to overpower them. They must not allow them to overrun the country. We are not happy, but you cannot deny Christian genocide. You cannot deny it. The United States legislators will not speak without data. You don't need to say you are going to feed them with your own data. Don't know when you are coming, they know what you are coming to do.
Yeah.
It is to say that they were ignorant. They are not ignorant. Didn't they have their embassy here?
Very true.
And they're not running everything. Don't they have better equipment even than us?
Yeah, Reverend, there is actually, you know, a Yoruba proverb that I use to describe the situation. You know, the Yoruba will say that ara ile eni lo mo si amudi. So even if we want to say that, okay, we don't want to cause disaffection, this is just mere sickness, outsiders don't owe us any obligation to call it whatever it is that they see it to be, which is why I want to ask you that, won't you demand of the government to terminate all these killings, whether they are Christians or Muslims, that there is just too much killings happening even currently, you know, currently as we speak in Benue and Plateau. Clearly, those two states are Christian dominated. Won't you make a clarion call to the government to end these killings, Your Eminence?
Yeah, OJ, now that economic interest has really crept into this matter, we may say that they are killing indiscriminately. But right from the beginning, the agenda was made known. It was clear. I was listening to one of the senators on this your channel, done in Politics Today, saying that voting is a constituency, that they were killing Muslims. Are we saying that they are not killing Muslims now? But when they started with the agenda of establishing Sharia. Sharia is not Christian. It's not a traditional religion. It's Islamic. And they said that any Islamic practice, they are going to be against it. They were going to wash up people away. Any Christian from the north, they were going to wipe away. Can't you remember what they did in Southern Kaduna? Not for the present governor who is trying to address the
problem.
The pain. Yes, but being more objective. Now that it's being more objective, is anybody crying like before any longer? But people that we think that we rescue the situation, when they are unfaithful, when they are biased, when they cannot address the truth, then the hope is lost. So these people are just playing to the gallery politics. Politics, defending their daily bread, not defending Nigeria.
Okay.
Not defending.
Yeah.
Not get politicians the way they are behaving.
Yeah. So I wanted to follow up that. So the members of the Nigerian Senate, they said that they are concerned about it. They are denying it, like you said, and they have a plan to travel to Washington, D.C. to go and meet members of the U.S. Congress to discuss this matter over. What do you think about that?
Let them go there and make their shame there. Because the United States Congress will not adopt a bill or any proposal without evidence. And they cannot take the evidence they have over there from them. They cannot. They cannot. Which research did the Senate, has the Senate ever done any research? Which research? When did they commission the research body to do research on this killing? When did they do that? Many Christian bodies are written, documented the genocide they paid again and again. The government didn't call them to see what we can do to collaborate together. They didn't. These politicians will just only defend what will give them the financial advantage and power over us. Don't love us. They love themselves.
Okay. Let's move it along, because I also wanted you to comment on the president's speech during the Independence Day, couple weeks back, where he itemized the advance, the progress that his administration, has made. He listed out some of the economic progress so far. Now, I wanted to ask you, what's your comment on that? You said that there is GDP growth, that our foreign reserve has now become quite, is getting more buoyant, I think over 42 billion, and some other progress that they have made. But I'd like to ask you, how do you respond to those claims from the president?
Let me greet the president of our country, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for all his effort. When all of them were campaigning, I wouldn't know whether they were aware of the magnitude of what they were promising that they would salvage. Nigeria had gone down in so many aspects of what we can call pragmatic life for the citizens. Is it in the area of security or economy oh, what have you? Nigeria was at the low end. So that was what he came to inherit. And I didn't know whether he knew the extent of the damage that he was taking over. I pity him, but he said we should not pity him because he campaigned to take the job off.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he said.
But it has not been easy. Nobody forced him to do what he is doing now. He should be enjoying it. And we are praying for him. Our own assignment is to pray for him. If we don't pray for him, who again shall we pray for? If it's only when he's doing well that we can do well. Many of us are suffering in silence because of the reality of the economic decisions that he took. Some of them were not well contemplated and planned in terms of the consequences of this on the people you want to survey. If you want to survey the people and the process is now leading to their death, one after the other, what are you really salvaging? That's why I said that salvaging the situation, economic situation, and the security situation of Nigeria requires wisdom, painstaking brainstorming. And it also requires insightful leadership. We need more than even the sense knowledge. You need the revelation knowledge of what the Spirit of God is saying. Yes, God rules in the affairs of men.
Yes.
Revelational knowledge of what the Spirit of God is saying. To every problem, there is a solution. With God. One needs to be able to reflect and wait on God to know what the next step to be. The leadership is not bread and butter. It's a body for people who are task-oriented and people love it. It's a body. We are taxed on this type of tax, the other type of tax. As I said the other time when I appear on this program, we cannot tax people to death. The people you are demanding the various types of taxes from, how much are they earning? Those who are in government, how much are you giving them? The smallest amount of money you transfer like this, you see the amount the banks are deducting, 400 naira, 100 naira. The money they didn't work for. We work, we labor for this money. We had already paid our income tax. This one now, without doing any work, the money that came in after paying the income tax, you are still taxing again and again. In the Western country, they have other things, other buffers, other things they produce a welfare package or packages for the citizens to cushion the effect of different types of taxes. And they also, by and large, make sure that they don't double tax people. For example, when I was living in England, if you are paying your tax and you are still paying your tithe to church, they return that money back to you. The remaining money between the balance between the tax you are paid and the tax you pay, the tax you pay in your church, they return the balance to you at the end of the year.
Yeah.
That is a fair government. That's a fair government. But here, you are paying penury as salary. Now, it is 17,000 naira. Is it not penury? That's a peanut. That's why I call it penury.
Yeah.
It's a peanut. It doesn't take you anywhere.
Yeah.
If you are going to study the cost of going to your work, coming back every day, and from the same amount, take away your rent, can you even eat? Can that salary even take you to work for 30 days and you still pay rent there?
Exactly.
And rent is increasing. Everything is increasing. How do people survive? How will people not steal in office? So it's not an excuse for stealing, but this office has already occupied 2/3 of the active working hours of your employees. It has taken active part, 2/3 of their working hours.
Okay.
So even to add any other thing, how will they be able to add any other job?
Yeah, thank you, Reverend. Points were made. Hopefully, with the new tax regime that is going to start next year, I think government has said that people who are earning a particular amount of money will not be taxed. Let's see how that goes. But I want you to also share your take on this. There's a lot that is happening because of the 2027 elections, defections, opposition, politics. Now, I wanted to ask you, do you have confidence in the way our democracy is evolving, with all these things? Do you think we have a strong opposition? Do you think our politicians are committed to the people's interest, when you see all these defections and stuff like that? I wanted to have your take as we conclude, Your Eminence.
I don't want to dabble into the issue of the politicians and so, but I don't see any very strong democracy where the opposition is not strong. Look at the parliament in the government in the United Kingdom. See the one in the United States. See, look at it everywhere. I was hearing that the ruling party is putting pressures on people, on governors, etc., to come and join them, and maybe also perhaps threatening them that if they don't come and join, some of them will to forget about their second term. And if anyone that understands the type of politics being practiced in Nigeria, who doesn't know that the incumbent federal power is in control of a lot of things that has to do with election? Who doesn't know that? The only time that the thing changed was the time of Jonathan, who decided to declare to all. But if he had wanted to use the power that he had, he can still use that to turn the tide to himself. But the situation that is happening now is not palatable for us in Nigeria, where all the opposition parties will not be able to boast. Well, probably they will not be able to boast throughout the federation of 20 parliamentarians. And it gives excessive power to the executive. It means any bill can go, which may not serve the interests of the people. And they are already saying that the party is supreme. The party is supreme. Because if you are heading any other arm of government and you cannot dance to the tune of the executive, their party controls the parliament. It's either you are or you are not allowed to return for another term. That's the end of the career. This is not good for Nigeria.
Okay.
Because of democracy is the one where the opposition will continue to ginger the ruling party to do the needful. They will be able to bring out their loopholes. But when that opposition is no more existing, then we end up having a dictatorship. And where in this world a dictatorship will really work out? Where?
Thank you so much, Reverend, for your contributions. Thank you for your voice. And thank you for speaking up, always truth to power. And also thank you for coming again to Inside Sources.
Thank you, moderator, and God bless Channels Television God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today I have a guest that is going to clarify for us a few things that is happening around Nigeria's foreign affairs and few other things. I'd like to welcome back to Inside Sources the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Protocol, Mr. Ademola Oshodi. My brother, it's good to see you again on Inside Sources.
Nice to see you again, Laulu.
All right.
Love the bow tie.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So can you just help us give some kind of insight into how the president is thinking around the issue of the ambassadors? You know, a lot of people are worried, including myself and a lot of diplomats, that it's now 2 years that the president has recalled the ambassadors and we don't have substantive ambassadors in our over 100 foreign missions abroad. Can you just give us an insight what is happening, Mr. Ademola?
Well, thank you for having me, Laulu. The ambassador situation is rather, I believe, a very strategic position taken by the president of the country. He has the prerogative to assign and appoint ambassadors.
Yeah.
Initially, there was I felt, or what was said by the Nigerian Foreign Affairs Minister, Ambassador Tuga, was financial challenges. We're coming through a very tough reform process in the Nigerian economy and ensuring that resources are put to the right places and prioritized. Right. So I believe that the administration has focused resources on more pressing issues, ensuring that we put in place things for infrastructure, security, food supply, and also ensuring that we have tremendous amount of resources, a backup, for shocks in the foreign in the foreign market. If oil prices fall, etc. So, I believe the foreign missions have been part of this decision making, whereby priority has been taken towards domestic reforms. Ambassadors are very important. I don't play that down at all. But what Nigeria was going through with the huge amount of subsidy payment, the discrepancy in the forex, and of course, security. We cannot emphasize the challenges we face through security challenges. So I believe the administration focused on more imminent and more important priorities. It doesn't mean that there's a vacuum there. The president has been the #1, I believe, ambassador for this country. He's traveled the world, he's pushed for investments, he's pushed for security guarantees, he's pushed for collaboration, climate change. He's also been there for, in multilateral, meetings in ECOWAS and African Union, even, around BRICS, for instance. So very, very key things. We also have the fact that Nigeria has also sent out charge d'affaires to fill up a bit of the vacuum, not totally, to all these missions. So it's important that the public recognize that it's not a vacuum. There's still something there.
Yeah,
and that's okay. I can go on the Nigerian Diaspora Commission. They're also playing a role, filling in, looking after diaspora needs of Nigerians around the world.
Right. So, well, I mean, so because you're not the foreign minister, and then I'm not going to press it so hard, but to say that the president even missed the United Nations meeting for the second time in 2 years, where you, as somebody who is in charge of foreign affairs, would you have advised him to miss those meetings back to back? And if he did, can you give us a guarantee that he won't miss it next year?
Well, I can guarantee this much, that the president is fully focused on foreign affairs. Laulu, I can assure you this. The United Nations is big. We want to be part of the Security Council, and Africa is, Nigeria is definitely one of the countries.
Because there's a difference when the president's on the ground, Mr. Ademola.
Yes,
a difference.
Yes, and there is, and I can't play that down. But the United Nations is not, as far as I'm concerned, as important as more pressing needs, even in ECOWAS. I will rate our involvement in ECOWAS for the security and also economy than a pressing need for the United Nations. You know, fine, we need our Security Council membership, but if we're having bandits crossing the border, if we're having smuggling of people of arms coming in from the Sahel, if we have Boko Haram going around the border, if we have piracy in the coast, it's more pressing. You know, I don't believe that the president takes the United Nations lightly. Let me clarify that. But I believe he juggled his priorities and felt it was more important that we deal with regional and continental issues, and even issues of BRICS that are more pressing to our economic and security needs.
And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. It means that Nigeria will win, partly because we will continue to push the important issues. Thank you for watching. My name is Laolu Akonde, and by the grace of God, I will see you at the next edition.